Hi there, it's Denise Beatty with the Fitness Fix. I want to give you a little bit of information about footwear today. So a few things that you might want to consider is when you're purchasing shoes to wear during the day, when you're training, when you're running, hiking, I want you to understand what a zero heel drop means, what it means to have a wide toe box, what the support means. So I'm giving you a couple of quick tips, what it means and also why it might benefit you, and also how to transition, what you need to know. So number one, when you have a shoe that has a zero heel drop, you're going to have basically no lift from the heel to the toe. So a lot of running shoes can be in that 10 to 13 millimeter range, where it's 10 to 13 millimeters higher on the heel than it is on the toe. What that does is it actually lifts your heel so that either your calves and Achilles have to shorten or your hamstrings, or sometimes people even rotate the pelvis forward even a little bit more, so they have a bit more arch in their back and they're not in neutral spine. So with the zero heel drop, as you're changing, it can actually help allow that pelvis to be more neutral, to get a better hip extension as you're pulling through, lengthen your calves and your Achilles. But you can imagine if you're running in a 13 millimeter and go right down to a zero, that might be a bit too much stretch on these muscles that aren't really used to it. So you want to transition really slowly, and you want to also pay attention to your pelvis position. If you feel like your pelvis is like a bowl of water, if it's tipped forward, that's anterior tilt. If it's tipped back, it's posterior. And you want to just feel like you're kind of in the middle. And when you're in the middle and we really train those hips to open, we have a lot more health through our glutes and our hips and a lot less tightness. So working towards this is a really amazing thing. The other part is the wide toe box. So you want to make sure that your toes can actually spread inside the shoes. When the toes can spread as you're absorbing force, then it really works the whole foot a lot more and your ankles might not get as tight. So for example, when you're spreading the toes, you'll actually feel a lot of these muscles on the inside of the foot work a lot more. It helps stabilize your arch, also to help prevent overpronation. We want to supinate and pronate our feet. We just don't want to overpronate where we drop through too much and cause hip and knee pain. So that's why the wide toe box, no matter what height of shoe you wear, make sure that you have enough space for your toes. You can start that right away. So those are some really big keys. I'm also going to include some information about some of the shoes that I recommend in the write-up for this as well, so you can check on that. So I want you to think of that pelvis position and the foot. Now, what do you need to do when you're transitioning? Number one, don't make a dramatic change too quickly and still keep your old shoes so that you can go between each, from your old shoe to your new shoe as you adapt. Number two, only spend a little bit of time in your new shoes as you adapt. It might be 10 to 20 minutes of a walk or a run, and then have your old shoes ready to go, just so your body can get used to these new positions. Number three, you want to condition your pelvis, your feet, and your hips as well. So anytime you think of it during the day, lift pelvic floor, squeeze your bum and tuck your hips under a little bit. You can also work on calf raises in that position to help build your ankles and your feet. So you could have your leg really bent as you lift up and down to work your foot and ankles, and also straight leg calf raise all the way up and down, where you can get used to this nice open hip position and that beautiful range. So you want to keep the strengthening, a little bit of strengthening for your foot. Can be things like lifting your toes up and down, scrunching your toes and lifting up. And the last one is if you push the big toe down and try to lift all four toes, push the four toes down and lift the big toe. So if you can work on things like that, even if you have to hold your toes down, that's going to help. So the quick recap is make sure with your shoes that you have that wide toe box, that you start working towards a lower heel drop. Then you can really help that pelvis position to really strengthen your hips and keep that low back really healthy. Also your ankles and your lower legs. You also need some conditioning in these new ranges, so you can work on the bent leg and straight leg calf raises and some extra footwork. So the transition is worth it. It takes a bit of time, but for the health of your body and for the space in your joints, it is so worth it. You even absorb force better, and you'll thank me for it later. So I hope this helps. Take care and start shoe shopping. Bye.